You've crossed into Crimson Moon, where bonds run deeper than blood. Tonight's story is about power, pain, and the kind of love that doesn't let go. I'm Noktula, and this one, it howls. Let's begin.
The forest was silent, too silent for a night like this. Not even the wind dared to whisper through the trees as the blood moon bled across the sky, casting a crimson sheen over the earth. It was as if nature itself held its breath, waiting. In the clearing of Black Hollow, a forbidden space sealed from mortal memory, a circle of torches burned steadily, their flames refusing to flicker. Hooded figures in black robes formed a ring around a central altar carved from obsidian, slick with symbols only the oldest witches could decipher. Amara stood at the edge of the clearing, heart thundering, breath shallow. She'd never intended to come. She didn't even know how she had found it. Her feet had moved on their own, leading her through fog-drenched woods to this place. As if something had called her, or someone. She was not like the others. She had no pack, no allegiance. She'd grown up in hiding, raised by her aunt who whispered of dangers and legacies, but never gave names. All Amara knew was that she had been warned, never be outside during a blood moon. And now here she was, drawn, trapped. The chanting began low, rhythmic, in a tongue older than the pack's, a language that made Amara's bones vibrate. Her knees nearly gave out as a surge of heat rushed through her body. Her vision blurred. From the shadows, a masked figure stepped into the circle, tall, broad, bare-chested, his skin marked with runes that glowed faintly. His face was hidden behind a silver wolf mask, his eyes just visible beneath it, burned. With something between desire and danger, Amara turned to flee, but her body wouldn't obey. The circle of fire roared, forming a wall behind her. The masked man extended his hand. "Chosen," one of the robed witches intoned. "The bloodline calls." Amara didn't know who they meant. She didn't know what they meant. But her hand reached out on its own. And when his fingers closed around hers, the world went white. Darkness claimed her. She was aware of being moved, carried. The scent of pine and something wilder, something primal, wrapped around her, making her head swim. Her limbs were heavy, her thoughts scattered. She felt silk under her fingertips, then warmth above her, pressing into her as lips found the curve of her neck. Her eyes fluttered open, only to find the blindfold there. "Please, double quote," she whispered, but it wasn't fear in her voice. It was confusion. "Need," a mouth brushed her ear. "You were chosen, Amara." How did he know her name? She trembled beneath his touch as the magic in the air thickened, wrapping around her like smoke. Each breath she took was laced with something intoxicating, something that dulled logic and fanned instinct. She couldn't see him, but she felt him every inch, every breath, every pulse. The ceremony was no myth. The joining was real. Hands roamed her body with reverence and hunger. Her blood sang, called, answered. She wanted to resist, should resist, but her body betrayed her. She didn't see his face. She didn't hear his name. But when it ended, and the warmth of his body left hers, Amara felt as though something inside her had changed forever. She would never be the same. The morning light bled through a canopy of trees as Amara awoke, sprawled across soft moss and ash. Her body ached in ways she couldn't explain. Her breath caught as memory surged, firelight, whispers, his touch. She sat up slowly, her fingers brushing across her bare stomach. The blindfold was gone. So was the man. So was everyone. The clearing was empty now, as though the night had been nothing but a dream. Except, the altar still glistened, the runes still shimmered faintly. And her body still bore the marks, bruises, bites, runes etched into her skin like faint tattoos. She traced one near her collarbone and winced. "Chosen," a voice whispered from the trees. Amara whirled around. Nothing. She stumbled from the clearing, half naked, her dress torn. As she reached the edge of the woods, nausea rolled over her. She collapsed to her knees and retched, the world spinning. A fox darted past her, pausing to stare. Its eyes were strangely human. It turned and vanished into the brush. She made it back to her aunt's cottage, just as the sky turned gold. The old woman took one look at her and paled. "You went to the hollow," she whispered, helping Amara inside. Amara didn't answer. Couldn't. She lay down and slept for almost 2 days. And when she woke, the nausea returned. So did the dreams flashes. Of the masked man, of fire, of hands that held and claimed her. She didn't yet understand the magnitude of what had happened. But deep down, in the hollow of her bones, Amara knew she'd been changed, and something inside her was growing. 3 weeks passed. Amara couldn't eat without vomiting. Her senses were sharper. Sounds overwhelmed her. Scents clung to everything, especially pine, musk, and smoke. She caught herself touching her stomach often, as though instinct was trying to speak. She bled once, briefly, then never again. Aunt Miriam grew quiet, watchful. On the 4th week, she placed a bowl of water on the table, sliced her own palm, and let the blood drip in. "Come here," she told Amara. "Place your hand in it." Amara hesitated but obeyed. The moment her skin touched the water, the bowl hissed. The blood turned silver. Miriam fell to her knees. "It's true," she whispered. "The line endures." "What are you talking about?" Amara asked, pulling her hand away. "You were never meant to find that ceremony. The hollow draws only one type of woman, one who carries the blood of the first mother. The bloodline that creates true alphas." Amara blinked. "That's just legend. It's why I raised you in hiding, why your mother died. You were the last, Amara." She laughed bitterly. "Last what?" Miriam's eyes brimmed with tears. "The last of the silver bloodline. The bloodline that birthed the first alpha. The bloodline cursed by witches, hunted by kings, and feared by every pack." Amara stepped back. Breath caught in her throat. "You think I'm pregnant with a ... Miriam nodded. "With an heir. Maybe even the heir, and they'll come for you now." The summons came 3 days later. 4 black wolves arrived at dusk, each bearing a crest from a different pack. They didn't speak as they handed over a scroll sealed with wax and blood. The Council of Elders had called for Amara. Miriam tried to bar the door, but Amara stepped forward. "I need to know what they know," she said quietly. They rode on horseback, silent and tense. Amara could feel their eyes on her, curious, assessing. Not one of them smelled entirely human. The council resided in the Valley of Echoes, a stone fortress, tucked between 2 dead mountains. Inside, torches lined the halls. And waiting in the chamber were the 7 elders, ancient, half-turned wolves whose eyes saw everything. "Amara Silverblood," the eldest one croaked. "You have awakened something old." "I didn't mean to." "That does not matter." The blood moon chose. The ritual was completed. And now, he gestured, and 4 more figures stepped forward. ALPAS. Each radiated dominance, power. They stood on opposite sides of the chamber like predators ready to strike. One had golden hair and storm-gray eyes. Ethan, Alpha of Stormfang. Cold, commanding. Another smirked with confidence. Brown hair tousled, charm in every move. Caleb, Alpha of Redclaw. The third was darker, with sharp eyes and a cruel tilt to his lips. Marcus, Alpha of Nightvale. The last stood silently, arms crossed, raven black hair, and eyes like obsidian. Rowan, Alpha of Ashenstone. Each of them spoke one sentence: "She carries my child." Amara's heart stopped. The elders murmured in horror. "You all claim paternity?" The head elder hissed. They nodded in unison. "She bears my scent. It was me in the hollow. I am the one the child answers to. We are bound." Amara stepped back, clutching her stomach. All 4 men smelled identical, the same scent from that night. "No," she whispered. "One of you is lying." The elders nodded grimly. "Or perhaps," the eldest murmured, "3 of them are." Amara wasn't given time to process the council's decree. After the confrontation in the chamber, she was ushered into private quarters high in the fortress walls, far from her aunt, far from anything familiar. The door slammed behind her, locking with a heavy clunk. Within hours they came one by one. Ethan arrived first, all steel and cold fire. He didn't knock, just pushed open the door and strode inside like he belonged there. "I don't have time for niceties," he said, scanning her as if she were a threat instead of a woman. "If the child is mine, I'll take care of it. Of you, but I won't tolerate deception." Amara's spine stiffened. "I didn't ask for this. You think I did?" His voice was ice. "One of us has a blood claim. The others are playing games. I don't." He handed her a pendant Stormfang's crest. "Wear it. Let my pack see who you belong to." "I don't belong to anyone." Ethan didn't argue. He simply left. Then came Caleb, smelling of cedar and mischief, a grin tucked into the corner of his mouth like it lived there. "Quite the mess we're in, huh?" he drawled, leaning on the edge of the hearth. Amara stared at him, unamused. "You think this is funny?" "No, but I think we could find a way to laugh about it later." He stepped closer. "I'm not here to force anything. But I know what I felt that night, and I know the child is mine. I'll wait for you to feel it too." She didn't respond. He winked anyway and handed her a small velvet pouch. "Raspberry leaf tea. Helps with morning sickness. My mother used to swear by it." Then he was gone. Marcus entered just after dusk. He moved like a shadow, all sharp edges and low murmurs. "They pretend to care. I don't. I care about truth and legacy." Amara backed away as he reached for a lock of her hair, letting it fall through his fingers. "My bloodline is pure. My pack ancient. If the child is mine, we'll rule together. And if it's not?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Then I'll make sure the others don't destroy you trying to claim it." He left nothing behind, not even comfort. When Rowan arrived, it was near midnight. He stood at the door until she nodded for him to enter. He said nothing, just sat across the room and stared into the fire. After minutes of silence, Amara asked, "Why are you here?" He looked at her, his eyes heavy with thought. "Because I can't stop dreaming about you. And because I remember your voice from that night." She swallowed hard. He placed a carved stone on the table. "For protection, against magic." Then he left without touching her, without forcing words. When the door closed behind him, Amara sat alone, surrounded by gifts from 4 powerful men, none of whom she could trust. By morning, the council demanded blood samples from each alpha for magical analysis, they claimed, to find the father. But when the results returned, chaos followed. Each man's blood bore the same aromatic markers, identical scents. Their magic signatures were virtually indistinguishable. Amara watched from the stone balcony as the elders bickered and growled at one another, debating manipulation, enchantment, dark craft. "You're telling me they all smell like the father?" she asked the elder who returned to brief her. "Magic has been used," he admitted grimly. "Potent, ancient, and very dark. Someone masked their true scent or replicated another's." "Can you unmask it?" the elder sighed. "We're working on it. But the longer the child grows inside you, the more their magic binds to yours." Amara turned away, trying not to vomit. The baby inside her was innocent. But this was a power struggle disguised as fatherhood. Later that night, she walked the garden to clear her head. Rowan followed at a distance. Caleb intercepted her by the fountain, charming as ever. Marcus appeared from the shadows. And Ethan, he waited just past the hedges, arms folded, surrounded. "You can't keep circling me like wolves around prey," Amara snapped. "We're not circling," Ethan said. "We're guarding. One of us is your mate." "No, one of you is the father," she corrected. "That doesn't make me yours." Caleb gave a soft chuckle. "She's got claws." Rowan stepped forward. "You want space?" You'll have it. And if I leave? She challenged. Marcus raised a brow. We'd bring you back. For your safety, Ethan added quickly. No, she whispered. For control. They didn't deny it. The fortress became a battlefield of glances, growls, and threats barely concealed under polished words. Each alpha brought his entourage warriors, emissaries, even healers. 4 packs in one place. The elders tried to keep the peace, but nothing simmered for long. Amara watched tensions rise like a storm cloud. Ethan's warriors patrolled the outer corridors. Marcus's scouts spied from the towers. Caleb's men flirted with servants, sowing seeds of loyalty. Rowan's soldiers kept to the shadows but were never far. She saw the signs. War was coming, and she was the spark. Miriam was finally allowed to visit. She brought herbal tonics and grave news. They're preparing for conflict, she whispered, brushing Amara's hair. Each alpha thinks claiming you means controlling the future. Amara held her aunt's hand. I won't be anyone's prize. You already are, Miriam said gently. But you can still decide who wins. How? I don't know who to trust. Then trust no one. Not yet. That night, Ethan sent word demanding private time. She refused. Marcus tried to bribe a guard to smuggle her out. He failed. Caleb offered a walk under the stars. She agreed. They didn't get far. Ethan intercepted them mid-courtyard, growling. She's not yours. Didn't realize you'd claimed her, Caleb replied, smirking. She's not a bone to fight over, Amara said sharply, stepping between them. But Rowan's voice cut through the tension. She's pregnant. And exhausted. Leave. For a moment, Ethan looked like he might defy him. Then he turned and left. So did Caleb. Rowan nodded once at Amara, then disappeared into the shadows. By week's end, Amara was moved to new quarters deeper in the fortress. The room was larger but lacked windows. 2 guards stationed at all times. One from Ashenstone, one from Redclaw, a golden cage. When she protested, the elders claimed it was for her safety. Until the father's identity is verified, you must remain under guard. Miriam argued, but the council held firm. Amara paced the room like a caged wolf. Her only respite was when Rowan visited. He didn't talk much, but he brought her books, ancient volumes on bloodlines, alphas, witch curses. Knowledge became her only freedom. Caleb snuck in once. He brought food and a sketch he'd drawn of her. It was oddly sweet, her laughing, barefoot in a field. You imagined that? She asked, touched. I hoped for it. She didn't send him away. Marcus, too, visited. But only to remind her, I'm the only one who can protect you when this war begins. Choose wisely. Ethan didn't visit. Instead, he sent one of his warriors to deliver a dagger. Just in case, the note read. She hid it beneath her pillow. The dreams began subtly. First, a whisper. Then a scent, pine, smoke, heat. Then the masked man returned. She saw him as she had that night, tall, powerful, silent. But this time, in the dream, she wasn't blindfolded. She moved toward him, hands trembling. Who are you? She asked. He didn't speak, but he touched her belly with reverence, then her lips. His fingers traced her shoulder, down her spine. And when she woke, that same tingling sensation remained. She dreamt of him again the next night. And again. Each time, a new detail emerged, a scar on his wrist. The sound of his voice. The word mine murmured against her skin, but his face stayed hidden. Amara kept it to herself until Rowan brought her tea one evening. You've been restless, he noted, crying out in your sleep. She looked at him carefully. Did you ever say mine to me? That night? Rowan paused. No, she nodded slowly. Did you have a scar on your left wrist? Again, silence. No. She believed him. 1 down. 3 to go. Amara stood barefoot in the stone chamber, fingers trembling as she hovered them over the ancient book Rowan had brought her the day before. Its leather-bound cover pulsed faintly with warmth, as if it breathed. Her fingertips brushed a page inked in symbols she didn't understand. The moment she touched it, light burst from the words, shooting into her palm like fire. She stumbled back, clutching her hand. Veins along her wrist glowed gold for a heartbeat before fading. The guards outside her door stirred but didn't enter. "Miriam," she whispered, breathless. What the hell was that? Her aunt arrived later that night, sneaking past the guards with a basket of dried herbs and fresh anxiety. When Amara showed her the page and the mark now burned faintly into her skin, Miriam paled. "It's reacting to you. Only those born of the silver bloodline can access the old magic." "What does that mean?" "It means you are more than a vessel for a child. You are a catalyst, a bearer of true alpha magic, and that kind of power can't be faked or masked. Only inherited. But I've never cast a spell. You don't need to. Your blood is the spell." They tested it. Further, when Amara touched the edges of the book again, fire didn't erupt. Instead, the words translated themselves in her mind. She spoke a single phrase aloud, and the flames in the hearth leapt higher, curling into a ring before settling. The guards didn't notice, but the magic inside her did. Something had awakened. Something that wasn't going back to sleep. 2 days. Later, the fortress trembled as a new arrival approached. She came without guards or warning. She wore no crest. Her cloak was midnight blue, her eyes the color of bruised violets. Every elder in the council room stood when she entered. Amara watched from the balcony as murmurs spread. The oracle. She'd thought the witch was a myth. But when the woman turned her gaze upward and locked eyes with Amara, she felt the magic hit her like a wall of wind. Later that evening, the oracle requested a private audience with only Amara. Inside the circular chamber lit with crystal sconces, the witch circled her slowly. Not speaking, just listening to the air, the pulse, the unborn heartbeat. "You are marked," the oracle finally said. "Twice." Amara frowned. "What does that mean?" "One mark from blood. One from bond. The father lives. And so do the liars. Can you tell me which is real?" The oracle's eyes flashed white for a heartbeat. "No, the curse used on you was layered deep, masked through scent, through blood, through spirit. They shared magic to become the same." "So, I'm supposed to just guess?" The oracle's voice softened. "No, you must remember. The truth isn't hidden in spells. It's hidden in your mind." Amara's hands clenched. "They used me. They want the child. But one of them wants you, and you already know which." The oracle pressed something into Amara's hand, a pendant shaped like a crescent moon with a blood-red stone in the center. "Wear this. It will shield your dreams from false memories." Amara stared. "What do I do when I know?" The oracle's eyes darkened. "Choose quickly, because when the child is born, all debts will be due." She didn't sleep that night, or the next. Dreams had twisted lately visions of all 4 men, reaching for her, speaking promises, each voice identical to the masked man. The pendant helped, dulling the confusion, but the memory refused to sharpen. On the 3rd day, Caleb returned. He wore no armor. No charm, just a simple shirt, sleeves rolled up, like he'd walked out of a memory instead of a battlefield. "You look tired," he said gently, sitting beside her near the fire. "I'm carrying a miracle baby while trapped between 4 warlords. Can't imagine why," he laughed. "Fair." Amara watched him warily. "Why are you here?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he handed her a carved wooden box. Inside was a pair of polished baby shoes. "Handmade. My sister's mate made them," he said quietly. "For their son. He died before he was born." Amara's throat tightened. "Why give them to me?" "Because no matter what happens, your child deserves peace. And I want to be part of that, Amara. I don't want to control you. And yet you're here with everyone else trying to do exactly that." He looked her squarely in the eyes. Not trying, fighting, there's a difference. And I'll fight fair if the others will. Amara held the shoes in her lap. What if the child isn't yours? He smiled, not a trace of sarcasm. Then I'll be the best uncle in the damn world. And for the first time, she believed. Rowan came late. It was raining, hard enough to drown the sound of his approach. She found him standing on the balcony just outside her chamber, soaked to the bone, not moving. She opened the door wordlessly and stepped out beside him. You'll get sick, she said. I won't, he replied. Lightning flashed across the distant hills. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Finally, she asked, why don't you press like the others? Because the more you push someone into a corner, the more they see you as a threat. Amara leaned against the stone railing. You really think I see you as safe? He looked at her, then really looked. No, he said. I think you see me as the one who won't lie to you. Even if it means losing. Amara exhaled, heart heavy. I keep having dreams, flashes I'm trying to remember. You will, he said simply. She glanced down at his hands. They were scarless. When I remember, if it's not you, will you still protect us? Rowan's voice was soft, always. When she stepped back inside, she felt something shift inside her, not magic, not fear, but the growing sense that if she ever ran, she might run to him. The walls were closing in. Amara couldn't breathe. Every step she took was followed. Every word she spoke was overheard. Even the pregnancy, the life growing inside her, was being treated like a sacred artifact instead of a human soul. That night, she packed what little she had, stole a black cloak from one of the guards, used the pendant to cloud their senses long enough to slip through the lower halls. She made it to the outer courtyard before alarms rang out. They came fast. Rowan was the first to reach her, his voice sharp. Amara, what are you doing? I can't stay here, she gasped. I need to think, breathe, be. Ethan appeared next, jaw clenched. You were leaving without protection, with our child? She's not yours, Rowan growled. Neither is she yours, Marcus hissed, materializing from the shadows. Caleb was the last to arrive, running in with no guards, just panic in his eyes. Amara, don't do this. I have to, she shouted. I don't know who to trust. I don't know who I am anymore. The elders arrived moments later, furious. The oracle stepped into the circle, eyes blazing. Enough, she commanded. This is no longer about blood. It is about control. And she is not yours to imprison. But she can't just leave, Ethan began. She can, the oracle interrupted. And she will, but not yet. Amara stared at her, panting. Why? Because if you leave now, they will follow. And if they follow, they will kill each other. The oracle stepped closer, her voice low. Wait one more week. Let the blood ritual finish, then you may go. And the truth will follow you. Amara dropped the bag at her feet. One more week. Then everything would change. The next morning, Amara awoke in a different room. Stone walls, no windows. Just a single heavy door reinforced with ashwood and iron, the kind that dampened both magic and strength. Her wrists itched as if reacting to it. She wasn't a prisoner, the guards claimed, but she didn't miss the way they avoided her gaze or the unfamiliar red crests, stitched into their uniforms, Night Vale soldiers. Marcus's men. The door opened mid-morning. He stepped in, looking utterly relaxed in a dark button coat, hands clasped behind his back. I requested this transfer, Marcus said before she could speak. The elders agreed you needed a more secure environment. You mean controlled? He smiled, infuriatingly calm. You've proven yourself unpredictable. I'm simply ensuring your protection. Amara glared at him. You don't want to protect me. You want to own me. He leaned down, voice silken. I don't need to own you, Amara. I just need you to understand that, unlike the others, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. She stepped away. You're not the father. You don't know that. I'm starting to. Marcus didn't react, no anger, no argument, just a shrug. You'll be here for 3 days. After that, the ritual resumes. Try to rest. He turned to leave, pausing at the door. Oh, and don't bother trying to use magic. The room feeds it back into the stone. Wouldn't want you hurting yourself. Then he was gone, and she was alone again. Miriam appeared on the second day. After heated words with the guards. She was allowed in, clutching a bundle of old scrolls and a stolen key. She hugged Amara fiercely before slipping the key into her hand. You've been locked away long enough, she said. The elders left the old library unguarded while they attend the Southern diplomacy meetings. Amara's eyes widened. You want me to break out? Just for an hour. I'll distract the sentries. Go down through the cellar tunnel behind the kitchens. You'll find a door marked with wolf claw sigils. She didn't hesitate. Wrapped in a night veil cloak, Amara crept through the underhalls, using every shadow to her advantage. The door was where Miriam said it would be. The library was cavernous, dusty, forgotten, and steeped in magic that hummed along her skin. Shelves stretched into darkness, books wrapped in cracked leather and bound with iron clasps. She followed her instinct, moving past political histories and war records until she reached a sealed alcove. The air was colder there. The runes on the stone floor glowed faintly. Her pendant warmed. She reached for a black tome, thicker than the rest. The moment she touched it, the lock shattered and pages fluttered open. It was a ledger of her bloodline. Silver bloodline. Origin, curse, and legacy. Names, rituals. The blood moon's purpose. Why the line must never mingle with false alpha blood. And then etched in gold ink, a diagram of a scent-binding spell. A forbiddance ritual, designed to split one man's scent between multiple others using his blood and a relic artifact. The spell required the blood of the true father, a host with matching aura signatures, dark witchcraft, and a moonstone vessel. The final note chilled her. The spell fades only if the mother names the father aloud. With full memory and truth, she memorized every line. She had proof now. She just didn't know who the real father was yet. Amara returned to her quarters just before dawn. The key was gone. Miriam had vanished again, and the guards hadn't noticed her absence. But Ethan had. He was waiting by the door, arms crossed, eyes storm dark. You're lucky I found you before Marcus did. She didn't flinch. So you're my protector now? Ethan stepped forward, his scent overpowering, his aura a wall. You went into the library. I know what you were looking for. She stared back. Do you? I know the spell was used. And I know it wasn't me who ordered it. Her breath caught. You're saying someone else cast the scent-binding spell, and you didn't? He nodded. I refused. The others didn't. Why didn't you tell me before? He looked away. Because I still don't know if I'm the father. And I didn't want to lose my place before you had the truth. She studied him. Ethan never lied. He was too proud for it. You think it was Marcus? She asked. I think it was Marcus, or Caleb, maybe both. And Rowan? And Finn. Hesitated. He's too reserved. I doubt he'd participate in a spell like that. But that doesn't make him innocent. She stepped closer, challenging him. And you, what do you really want? Ethan's voice dropped. The child. But only if it's mine. You're not a prize to me. You're a complication I didn't expect. But I respect you more than they do. He turned to go, then paused. Find the truth. Then come to me. He didn't wait for her response. The night of the ritual drew closer. The elders returned to oversee preparations. Tensions between the alphas were at a breaking point. More guards, more growling, and reports of a duel nearly breaking out between Caleb and Marcus in the armory. Amara stayed hidden in the old garden, once a temple to the moon goddess. Now, overgrown and half forgotten. She clutched the black tome she had stolen, flipping again to the curse. She didn't need to read it again. She knew what had happened. Only one man had shared blood with her that night. But the spell split that imprint. Between all four, one real father, three pretenders. Shielded by lies and magic. She traced her stomach. The child inside her kicked for the first time. "Who are you really?" she whispered. A low voice answered, "Someone very important." She turned, startled, to find Leora, the youngest elder, standing in the vines. "You should not have that book," Leora said, eyes not unkind. "I need to know the truth." "You will. But you also need to understand what happens when that truth is revealed." "What do you mean?" Leora stepped forward. "The scent-binding spell wasn't just used to confuse you. It was used to bind the packs. If one man is revealed as the father, the other three will lose face. Their alliances will shatter. War is certain." Amara paled. "So I say nothing, you delay, you survive. And when the time comes, you choose the future, not just the father." "But how do I know which man is both?" Leora smiled faintly. "One of them will choose you, not power. That is the true mark." That night, she dreamed of fire again. But it wasn't the masked man this time. It was a woman, standing in a dark forest, eyes glowing red. Her voice curled into Amara's bones. "Come to me, child of the blood. The truth has a price." She awoke with a start and knew exactly where to go. The rogue witch's den lay beyond the fortress wall, deep in the forest's edge, shrouded in fog. No path led there. She had to feel her way magic pulling her step by step. The witch was waiting. Cloaked in black, teeth sharp, aura humming with unstable power. "You want to see his face?" the witch rasped. "You want the memory back?" Amara nodded. "What do you want in return? A drop of your child's blood?" "No. Then a memory. One you cherish, gone forever." Amara hesitated, then whispered, "Take my first kiss." The witch grinned. "Done." Amara didn't feel the loss until after the ritual was complete. A sharp pain behind her eyes, a flicker of sorrow, and then the vision came. The night of the blood moon, the masked man. His hand brushing her cheek. And a scar on his left wrist. She gasped. It wasn't Ethan, or Caleb, or Marcus. She'd seen their wrists, clean. But Rowan, he always wore bracers, long sleeves. Never let her see. Her heart slammed into her ribs. She had her answer. Now she just had to survive long enough to tell it. Amara didn't mean to lose control. She only meant to defend herself. After her return from the witch's forest, emotions buzzed under her skin: guilt, fear, fury, and something older, darker. She could feel her child stirring beneath it all, reacting to her turmoil. She didn't expect Caleb to confront her in the corridor near the moon chamber. "You were gone last night," he said flatly, blocking her path. "I don't owe you my whereabouts," she said, chin lifted. His smile was cold. "If I find out you've been speaking with witches, you'll what?" She snapped. "Threaten me? Hurt me like your pack hurts runts born without fangs?" His golden eyes flared. He stepped forward, too close. "I gave you respect, Amara. Don't confuse that with mercy." And then he reached for her arm. The instant his fingers touched her skin, something inside her snapped. A current of raw magic exploded from her chest, hurling him backward. The stone floor cracked beneath him. Arcs of light shimmered around her body, burning blue and silver. Caleb groaned, clutching his ribs. Amara stood frozen, breath heaving. Her hands glowed faintly, her child's power merging with her own. Guards rushed in seconds later. She didn't move, just met their stares with cool silence. The whispers began that night, greater than "she's unstable." "She's becoming something else. Even the unborn pup has power." And Marcus watched from the balcony above, his expression unreadable. It was Miriam who told her the truth. They sat alone in the garden at dusk. The air smelled of lavender and ash. "You felt the change," Miriam said gently. "Your child, he's already unlocking the dormant blood in you. The true silver blood inheritance." Amara nodded. "It wasn't just instinct. I felt him, my son. He was protecting me." Miriam's smile faltered. "I should have told you." "Sooner," she whispered. "Your mother. She didn't die from the illness. That was a lie. The council killed her." Amara's heart stopped. She refused to let them control her. "She escaped, hid you with humans, but she was captured. Silver blood women, true ones, don't die easy. It took 5 witches to bring her down. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was part of it," Miriam admitted. "I was young. I thought I was protecting the realm from dangerous blood." Amara stood, her voice sharp. "You helped murder my mother. I tried to undo it. That's why I've stayed. That's why I've helped you. Why I will continue to help you. Even now." Amara's jaw clenched, eyes stinging. "Then help me get out, before the council decides to finish what they started." Miriam nodded. "You'll need allies and proof, because the council just voted." The chamber doors thundered open. 12 elders sat in a crescent of blackwood chairs, Leora among them. A fire burned in the central hearth, casting shadows like claws. Amara stood in the middle, wrapped in a silver robe, her hands bound with spell thread. Marcus, Caleb, Ethan, and Rowan flanked the chamber, each expression carefully schooled. Elder Jovan stood. His voice was cold and absolute, greater than Amara of the silver bloodline. "The council has deliberated. For the safety of the realm and to ensure the legitimacy of the alpha heir growing within you, we issue this judgment." He paused. "Greater than you will undergo the trial of blood before the next full moon. If the true father emerges through magic and merit, he shall be granted rights to the child and a formal bond with you. The others shall face exile or death." Gasps echoed. Caleb didn't flinch. Marcus smiled. Rowan's brows furrowed. "Them," clenched his jaw. Amara's voice rang out, defiant. "Greater than, and if I refuse?" Jovan didn't blink. "Then we end the pregnancy. The child will not be born into uncertainty." Her body froze. "No," she whispered. The guards stepped forward. Liara's voice broke through. "Greater than, give her time. 3 days. To prepare." The council reluctantly agreed. As the guards led her out, Amara made eye contact with each of the 4 men. 3 would soon face ruin, and 1 would become her child's fate. The trial took place in the Circle of Truth, an ancient arena carved into white stone, lined with magic runes and blood channels from wars past. Each alpha stood in a corner, Marcus in obsidian black, Caleb in gold and crimson, Ethan in silver and gray, Rowan in quiet forest green. Amara stood in the center, hands raised to the sky. The witch who performed the memory ritual arrived, summoned by Leora under secret seal. The council allowed her under oath. She would cast a spell of revealing, one that summoned the memory of the father through Amara's womb. It was dangerous. It could kill her, but she nodded when asked if she was ready. The witch chanted. Lights shimmered above her, coiling into an image of that night, the blood moon. The masked man appeared, real and flickering. Each alpha gasped as they saw the figure reach for Amara, lift her chin, and the scarred wrist became visible. Witch turned to the 4 men. "Each of you, step forward and place your hand on the flame. If your soul matches the child, the fire will turn green. If not, red." Marcus went first. The flame hissed red. Caleb followed. "Red again." Ethan, "Red. Only." Rowan remained. He hesitated, then placed his hand on the flame. It blazed green. The chamber went silent. Amara closed her eyes. "I knew it," she whispered. Rowan looked stunned. Then relieved. The others erupted. Caleb roared, attacking a guard. Marcus shouted about trickery. Ethan simply stared at Amara, unreadable. but none of it mattered because the truth had finally broken through the lies. The council reconvened in chaos. Marcus demanded a retrial. Caleb called it sabotage. Ethan said nothing. Leora silenced them with a slam of her staff. The spell was ancient, the trial sacred, she declared. There is no denying the outcome. Rowan of the Verdant Pack is the father of the Silver Blood. Heir, the other elders reluctantly agreed. Marcus was stripped of his political titles. Caleb's pack was fined and forced to retreat from shared borders. Ethan was offered the chance to leave peacefully or face duel by clan trial. He chose to leave, but not before finding Amara. He cornered her by the reflecting pool, the one her mother used to pray at. I didn't lie to you, Ethan said. I know, she replied. That's why I'm not afraid of you, he nodded. He's lucky. Rowan, you could have changed everything. But not for the wrong reasons, she said softly. When he left, he didn't look back. Marcus didn't go quietly. The next morning, a guard was found dead. His scent lingered on the stones, but he was gone, vanished with a few loyal soldiers. Rowan didn't say much. But when he came to her door that night, he knelt before her and said quietly, I didn't want you to know because I thought I'd ruin you. But I'm ready now, if you'll let me stay. She looked at him, the quiet strength, the haunted guilt, and nodded. I want you to stay. For him, for me. And for the first time, the air felt still. But the danger wasn't gone, not yet, because Marcus was out there, and the Silver Blood. Air was growing stronger every day. Amara didn't see Caleb coming until his breath was on her neck. The moon was high when she slipped into the greenhouse for solitude, thinking herself alone. She had begun to trust the silence again, trust that Rowan's presence meant safety. She was wrong. A strong arm wrapped around her waist, yanking her back against a hard chest. His scent hit her spiced cedar and smoke, and her stomach churned. Didn't I win you once? Caleb whispered against her ear. Even if the magic didn't name me, your body did. She shoved against him, but he held her firm. That night, he hissed, I was there. Maybe not at the end, but I touched you, tasted you. Don't pretend I didn't matter. You lied, she spat. You used dark magic to forge a scent, to fool me and the child. That's not love. That's violation. His grip tightened. You think Rowan will protect you? He doesn't even know what's coming. A flash of heat surged through her chest. Her hand ignited with light, and she rammed her elbow into Caleb's ribs. He grunted, releasing her. Amara spun, her hand raised, but he was already gone, a blur of shadow among the vines. She collapsed against the greenhouse wall, heart racing. Her skin stung where his touch had lingered. Rowan found her minutes later. He didn't speak. Just took one look at her pale face, the way her robe was torn at the shoulder, and wrapped her in his coat. I'll kill him, he whispered. No. She said softly, you'll help me expose him. Marcus hadn't fled as far as the rumors claimed. Amara saw him 3 nights later in the crypt under the old keep, where the candles never stayed lit and even the shadows whispered secrets. He stood before her mother's old tomb, fingers tracing the runes carved into the stone. You knew her, Amara said quietly. He turned, his features gaunt, eyes rimmed red. I loved her. Amara froze. She never told you, did she? Marcus sighed. I was her betrothed, before the council tore us apart. You helped them kill her, he flinched. I tried to save her, but they had already cursed her blood. I told them it was madness to fear your line, that no silver blood had ever harmed the realm, but fear makes weak men cruel. And you're not cruel? She asked bitterly. Marcus stepped closer, and to her surprise, dropped a small vial in her palm. For protection, he murmured. Witchbane and moonroot. It hides the baby's aura. Amara stared at the vial. Why would you help me now? Because I lost your mother to the council's paranoia. I won't lose her child. To it. Then he vanished into the tunnels, leaving only silence and a faint trail of ash. Amara had never explored the southeast wing of the keep. The servants avoided it, and even Rowan didn't linger there. But when a dream pulled her there, a whispering voice, calling her name in the dark, she followed. The hallway was sealed with ancient vines. With a burst of glowing power from her fingers, they withered and parted. What she found stunned her. A woman chained to a stone dais, long white hair, pale skin with silver runes carved into her arms. Her eyes opened slowly, glowing faint violet. "Amara," she rasped. "You've awakened. Who are you?" "I was like you, a silver blood, taken during the last eclipse. Used to test blood-binding spells." Her name was Lysandra. She'd been kept alive, enchanted into stasis, as a living battery for the witches that had once served the council. When Amara touched her hand, vision surged. Hundreds of women, experimented on, drained, discarded. "You are the last," Lysandra whispered. "But your child, they will want him for more." Amara's fists clenched. "I won't let that happen," Lysandra smiled faintly. "Then burn it all down." With Miriam's help, they freed Lysandra and brought her to the healer's den. Her presence changed everything. Proof of the council's crimes, of what they'd done in the name of peace. Rowan sat by the fire, staring into it as though the flames might confess for him. Amara watched him silently before she finally spoke. "What did you see in the trial?" "You looked surprised," Rowan sighed. "Because I wasn't the one who finished the ritual that night." She stiffened. "I was the first to touch you," he said, "but I lost control. I left. I didn't think You didn't finish?" "I didn't think I did, but the scent, the fire chose me." Amara's voice was tight. "Then someone else could have." "I've wondered," Rowan said quietly, "if someone used blood magic to overwrite the memory, to plant a false match." Her heart thundered. "You think the spell was tampered with?" "I think the child is yours," he said. "Truly, but I don't know if he's mine. And if I'm not the father—" He looked up at her, voice raw. "I'll still protect you, both of you." Tears burned her eyes. "I don't know what to believe anymore." "Then believe this," Rowan said. "The ones who lied, the ones who twisted your fate, they'll do it again. Unless we end this." The first body was found at dawn. A scout, gutted and pinned to a tree with black thorns. A symbol carved into his chest, a crescent eye within a bleeding star, the mark of the shadow. Witches, Miriam paled when she saw it. They haven't been seen in 50 years. "They've come for the child," Lysandra whispered. "They worship the old blood. And they believe your son is the prophesied alpha of Eclipse." Guards doubled at the gates. Rowan ordered patrols. Amara couldn't sleep. That night, her windows shattered. A cloaked figure emerged through the smoke, eyes glowing red, chanting in a tongue older than the moon goddess. Amara didn't scream. She reached for her magic. Light flared from her belly, engulfing the intruder in silver fire. The figure writhed, screaming, until it disintegrated. The scent it left behind was foul. Not Wolf, not human. Something older. The baby kicked in her womb, hard. She clutched her belly, breath trembling. They were out there now, watching, hunting, and even Marcus, even the council, would be nothing compared to what was coming next. The war for the silver blood heir had only just begun. Ethan always smiled too easily, too perfectly. Amara had grown used to his affable presence, his quiet strength in the background of strategy meetings, his concern laced with the right amount of distance. But it was Miriam who noticed it first. "He's too clean," she muttered one evening, arms folded as Ethan sparred in the courtyard. "No scars, no mistakes, no past." "He's been kind," Amara replied, watching him. "Protective." "Too protective," Miriam countered. "That man hides his scent half the time. I've only ever met one kind of wolf who does that witch-bound." Later that night, Amara went to confront him. She found Ethan in the lower hall near the old chapel, staring into the carved eyes of a wolf god. Looking for blessings? She asked. He turned slowly, smile flickering, always. Then tell me, she said softly, stepping closer. Who were you before the blood moon? His jaw tightened. Because I remember, Amara went on. Your voice. You were there that night. You whispered something. Before I blacked out. The curse dies with you. Ethan didn't blink. I was ordered to end your line, he said finally. But I failed. And then I saw what you were, what you carried. So you switched sides? I still haven't chosen one. He admitted, but I'll follow the power. That's what I was made to do. Amara backed away. You were sent to kill me. Yes, Ethan said. And now I think I might die trying to save you. The pain started like a throb behind her. Ribs barely there. Barely noticeable. But within hours, it bloomed into a pressure so heavy she collapsed in the hall outside Lissandra's chamber, her body's rejecting the natural cycle. Lysandra said grimly, something is accelerating the pregnancy. Magic. Likely, Miriam cursed under her breath. Witches? Again, no, Rowan said. This feels older. Amara lay sweating on the healer's stone, her belly already heavier than it had been the day before. The child kicked violently, more aware, more alive. His strength grows too fast, Lysandra murmured. He's drawing from you, Amara. Not just nourishment power. What happens if I can't give enough? Amara asked weakly. Lysandra didn't answer. Rowan knelt beside her and took her hand. Then I'll give him mine. She looked up at him, dazed. What? I'm bound to you, remember? He said. I may not be his blood, but I'll protect him. I'll anchor you. A glow formed between their joined hands, faint but steady. For the first time in hours, Amara could breathe. But the moonlight. Outside faded unnaturally fast. Miriam stepped to the window and frowned. That's not an eclipse. That's the fading, Lysandra whispered. The moon goddess turns her face when death nears the womb. The barrier around the keep broke just after midnight. Shadow witches poured through like smoke, there. Spells ripping through walls and flesh. Miriam led the defense without hesitation. I'll hold the east wing. She shouted over the din. Get her to the vault. Rowan dragged Amara down the inner stairwell while Ethan and Lysandra flanked them. The howls behind them grew louder. Screams echoed down the corridor. They were almost to the vault when Amara stopped. Where's Miriam? Rowan didn't stop. She said she'd follow. But Amara pulled free of his grip and turned back. She found Miriam in the east wing, surrounded by 4 witches. Her blade was slick with blood. Her eyes were wild. Go! Miriam roared when she saw Amara. Protect the boy. A witch lunged and Miriam moved like wind, slicing through the throat, then turning into the next one. But another struck from behind. A knife plunged into Miriam's ribs, deep and fast. No! Amara screamed, running toward her, but Lysandra caught her arm. She's already chosen, the older woman whispered. Don't waste it. Miriam turned to Amara, blood spilling from her mouth. Name him, she gasped. Name him something worthy. Then she fell. The magic inside Amara surged like a wave, shattering stone. Light blinded everyone. When it cleared, Amara stood alone in the ruined hallway, and Miriam was gone. The keep wasn't safe anymore. Miriam was dead. The wards were broken, and the witches would return with more. Rowan tried to argue, but Lysandra was firm. She needs to hide. Now, the child won't survive another siege. Where will you go? Rowan asked. With her, Ethan said, stepping forward. I know places, old rogue tunnels. The kind no one's mapped in decades. Rowan clenched his fists. You betrayed us once. You said yourself you follow. Power. Ethan met his glare. And if she dies, no one has power. Not you, not me. So yes, I'll protect her. Because she is power. After a long pause, Rowan stepped back. "I'll find you," he said to Amara. "I swear it." She nodded, fingers trembling in his. They left through the north cavern, crawling through abandoned smuggler routes and through ravines lit only by moonlight-dotted dawn. They emerged on the far side of the mountains. Breathless and cold, Ethan helped her down the last ridge. "There's a place," he said. "Half a day from here, a safe house. Run by wolves who owe me blood debts." She looked at him. "And if they turn on me?" He smiled grimly. "Then I'll kill them." The safe house was buried in a thicket of pine trees surrounded by ash. Markers in old stone glyphs. It smelled of cedar and damp roots. Familiar, almost too much so. A woman named Bryn ran the house, a rogue healer with sharp eyes and a limp. "She's glowing," Bryn said after touching Amara's belly. "Your boy isn't human. He isn't even fully Wolf anymore." Amara swallowed hard. "What is he?" Bryn looked her dead in the eyes. "Born of prophecy, shaped by blood and betrayal. This world has never seen his kind." That night, Amara stood outside beneath the trees. Ethan joined her in silence. "I can feel him," she whispered. "He's dreaming." Ethan didn't speak for a while. Then, "You trust me now?" "I don't know," she admitted. "I wouldn't." "Trust me either," he said quietly. They stood in silence, breathing in the pine. Then he added, almost too soft to hear, "But I think I loved you, even before I knew you." She turned, eyes narrowing. "Was that before or after you were sent?" "To kill me." He looked at her, gaze heavy. "I haven't figured that out yet." Amara had not slept in 2 days. Between the child's restlessness and Ethan's constant pacing, rest became a myth. But on the third night, the visions began. She dreamed of fire, of the blood moon hanging low in the sky, swollen and pulsing. In its light stood a figure draped in obsidian cloth, a silver mask covering his face. Her body remembered that figure. The way he moved, the heat of his breath, the whisper of ancient language against her skin. "Why are you hiding?" she asked in the dream, her voice echoing strangely. The masked man stepped forward, close enough for her to see the sharp blue of his eyes behind the slits. "Because truth kills faster than blades," he said. She reached for the mask and he let her. Underneath, nothing. No face. No features. Just swirling shadow and glowing red veins pulsing through darkness. "You carry more than a child," the voice said again, but now it was many voices, layered atop each other, male and female. "Young and old, you carry judgment, you carry me." She stumbled back. "What are you?" she whispered. He didn't answer. He turned, walking into the fire. The flames licked her heels as she followed, but this time, she didn't wake up screaming. Instead, she gasped, wide-eyed in the safe house bed, and whispered a name she didn't remember knowing, NYX. Bryn wasn't just a rogue healer. She had once been a moon-blessed oracle. When Amara told her about the dream, Bryn went pale. "NYX is a myth," Ethan said, arms crossed. "A bedtime story." Bryn shook her head. Nyx was the first cursed alpha, the one who started the legacy. His body was destroyed centuries ago, but his soul was trapped, passed down through blood. Amara touched her belly. "Passed to him? Maybe," Bryn said grimly. "Maybe he chose to be reborn." Ethan's expression turned cold. "If that thing lives in your child, the Pax won't want to protect him. They'll want to use him or destroy him." Amara turned to Bryn. "Is there a way to be sure? To see the truth?" "There is," Bryn said, "but it will cost." She led them to a hidden root chamber beneath the house. At its center sat a withered tree, silver bark glowing faintly. "This tree is sacred," Bryn said. "Touch it with blood, and it shows you truth. But truth demands something in return." Amara cut her palm and pressed it to the bark. Pain exploded through her mind. She saw Rowan biting her, marking her, and her blood reacting violently. She saw Caleb watching her from afar, lips moving in a silent chant. She saw Ethan's face, changing, becoming Nyx for a breathless moment before snapping back. And then she saw her son, grown eyes burning silver, leading wolves with a crown of bone and ash dot. When she woke, she was screaming. Bryn crumpled beside her dead. The tree had taken her instead. They traveled south, hoping to find answers in the ruins of a once sacred temple where the first alpha was crowned. But Rowan found them first. He stepped from the shadows one night, gaunt and furious. His arm was wrapped in ashcloth, his scent wild. "You left without me," he said flatly. Amara stared at him. "The safe house was compromised. We didn't have time." His eyes locked on Ethan. "And he was your backup?" Ethan grinned. "Nice to see you too, lover boy." They fought not with fists, but with growls, claws, and flame. Rowan's Wolf lashed out with fury, fueled by pain and fear. Amara stepped between them, fury rising. "Enough!" The air snapped with power. She turned to Rowan, tears threatening. "You think I wanted to run? Miriam died. I'm being hunted by witches. I don't even know who the father is, and every night something ancient talks to me." Rowan stepped closer, breathing hard. "Then let me anchor you." Before she could speak, he bit her shoulder deep and slow, not claiming, not mating, but connecting. A surge of memory hit her. Rowan. In the ceremony, a masked man. Blue eyes, his scent, his touch. Amara collapsed into his arms, breath stolen. "It was you," she whispered. "You were there." Rowan looked stunned. "I don't remember." Then Ethan growled behind them. "That's impossible." But Amara knew the truth. Rowan's blood reacted to hers, and that couldn't be faked. They didn't make it to the ruins. Caleb found them first. His pack cornered the trio in a dead forest, wolves flanking every exit. Amara stepped forward, shielding her belly. "What do you want, Caleb?" His smile was lazy and dangerous. "To take back what's mine." "You're not the father," she said coldly. He stepped closer. "No, but I will be. With the right spell, I can become him. The blood doesn't care, it only obeys magic." Rowan snarled. "You're sick." "I'm ambitious," Caleb replied. "And she," he looked Amara over, eyes full of hunger, "was meant for something greater. Let me help you birth it. Let me raise it." Amara's spine straightened. "I'd rather die." Caleb's wolves attacked. Ethan exploded into his shadow form, felling 3 instantly. Rowan fought like a berserker, his teeth sinking into throats. Amara felt her power stir. She stepped forward and screamed. The air cracked. A dozen of Caleb's wolves dropped dead, ears bleeding. Caleb looked stunned. "You, what are you?" "Not yours," she said. He vanished in smoke, but not before whispering, "You'll beg for me before this ends." Far north, in a chamber of blackened mirrors and bone lanterns, she woke. The Witch Queen, the creator of the curse, the one who had loved Nyx before he betrayed her. Eyes the color of spilled blood opened as her servants knelt. "He rises," she whispered. "The child lives." A skeletal familiar stepped forward. "The hosts fight over him, my queen." She rose from her stone bed, long robes dragging behind her like mist. "Then let them fight," she said. "But the boy is mine. He bears the mark of my creation." She stared into a pool of blood, and Amara's face rose from it. "She looks just like her ancestor," the queen whispered. "Foolish, brave, and doomed." Then she smiled. "I gave the world Nyx. Now I will take him back." And just like that, the wind shifted across every mountain, every border. The old war had begun again. The siege began at dawn. Caleb's ambition had finally overreached. In his desperation to control Amara's child, he turned to Forbidden's bloodcraft. He consumed an ancient elixir that temporarily made him untouchable, his power surging beyond alpha level, his body crackling with unstable magic, but power that, wild, had a cost. He attacked the mountain border of the eastern pack under the illusion that Amara was hiding there. What he didn't expect was for Elias, the third of the 4 alphas, to stand against him. Not with rage, but with calm determination. "You've lost yourself," Elias said, staring at Caleb through the drifting mist of dawn. "This isn't power, this is poison." Caleb bared his teeth, his voice guttural. "Power doesn't ask for permission." "You were never the father," Elias added, "and you know it." Caleb laughed. "Then why does my scent still linger in her womb?" Elias stepped forward. "Because you stole it from me. You drained it from my skin and blood." The crowd of wolves gasped. Even Caleb faltered. "You think you were clever," Elias said, his voice suddenly louder, carrying over the assembled warriors. "But you were always just a puppet. And now you're unraveling." Caleb's body convulsed, veins blackening. He roared, clawing at his chest. The magic turned inward, burning him alive. When it ended, Caleb collapsed, his body ash, his soul devoured by the very curse he tried to control. The second alpha had fallen, and Amara, hundreds of miles away, felt the moment his bond to the child snapped. They buried Miriam's keepsakes near the old riverbank where Amara was born. It was a quiet moment. Just her, Rowan, Ethan, and the wind. She found the letter tucked inside an aged locket. It was written in her mother's hand. Greater than his name was Elias. "We were young. I never told him I was pregnant. I knew the packs would come for us if they knew what our blood could do." Amara stared at the name, heart stuttering. Elias. One of the 4 alphas now fighting over her. Her hands trembled. "He might be..." Her voice caught. "He could be my father?" Rowan looked away, jaw tight. "We need to confirm it." But Ethan was already pulling something from his bag, a charm, imbued with truth-binding magic. "This can track lineage. If the blood matches, it'll glow." Amara dropped a tear of her blood onto the charm. It burst into silver fire. Elias was her father. And now, only days after confronting Caleb, Elias was heading for her, completely unaware that the woman they were all fighting for was his daughter. "We have to reach him before he finds me," Amara said, her voice thin. "If he finds me before we tell him, he might mark you," Ethan finished grimly. Rowan's eyes darkened. "And that would be incest, and irreversible." They headed west, toward neutral ground where Elias would likely pass through. But danger followed them like a shadow, and it wasn't the witch queen this time. It was family. They were ambushed just before nightfall, trapped by an unfamiliar pack wearing old silver crests, marked with thorns. Amara recognized one face immediately. Dorian. Her cousin. He had disappeared when she was 12, supposedly taken by hunters. But here he stood alive, powerful, and twisted. "You were always the heir," Dorian said, stepping from the ranks. "The chosen one." They whispered it even when we were kids. "That you'd be the one to carry the last pure bloodline." Amara stared numb. "You're working with the dark packs." "Working with?" He smirked. "I lead them now." He opened his shirt, revealing the mark on his chest, Nyx's sigil, burned into his skin. "The Witch Queen gave me power. In return, I help her reclaim what's hers." "The child isn't hers," Amara snapped. "He is," Dorian said. "He's a vessel. And you're just the gate." They fought. Ethan killed 3 of Dorian's wolves in shadow form. Rowan nearly lost an arm. But Amara, burning with grief and rage, used the voice Nyx left in her blood. One command, one word, and the trees answered. Roots ripped from the ground. Earth screamed. Dorian and his men fled. But Amara had no victory in her heart. Her family had betrayed her legacy. That night, her dreams were more vivid than ever. The child, her son, stood before her. Not as a newborn, but as a boy of 7 or 8, cloaked in moonlight, eyes burning silver and black. "You're him," she whispered. "I'm me," he said calmly. "But I remember him." Nyx left pieces. She fell to her knees. "I'm so scared." He stepped forward and touched her cheek. Don't be. I chose you. Tears welled in her eyes. Are you dangerous? I can be, he answered, honest in a way that startled her. But I won't hurt the ones you love. Unless they try to chain me. Do you know your father? She asked, breath trembling. He looked away. Yes, but you have to see it to believe it. The memory's buried. Locked in the place where the moonlight broke. She woke with a jolt, hand over her stomach. The child had spoken, and he had chosen her. Rowan stirred beside her. Another dream? She nodded. He remembers. He knows who the father is. Then we find the place where the moonlight broke. Rowan said. And in her heart, she knew where that was. The ritual circle. The clearing where it all began. The clearing had changed. The trees were blackened. The earth still hummed with old magic, and the air. The air felt watched. Amara stepped into the center, heart racing. The others waited at the perimeter. She needed to do this alone. She knelt, pressing her palm to the earth. Show me. The ground rippled, and the memory returned. She saw herself, shrouded in a red cloak, dancing between torches. The air thick with incense. She saw the masked man again, but this time, the mask cracked, and beneath it, Rowan. Not the Rowan she knew now, but a younger version. Confused. Sweating. Eyes glowing blue with silver veins. Creeping toward his temples. But it wasn't him. It wasn't just him. Something else was there too. Witch Queen's magic had split a soul. Nyx's spirit had temporarily fused to Rowan that night, driving him to the circle. Rowan had no memory, because it wasn't fully him. Amara gasped and fell backward. Rowan ran to her. What did you see? She looked up at him, tears falling. It was you, she whispered. But not just you, he swallowed. What does that mean? It means Nyx chose you as his host, and our child. He's yours, but also his. Rowan's face crumpled. Then he's cursed. Amara touched her stomach. No, she said softly. He's the cure. And far away, in her tower of bone and flame, the Witch Queen screamed. The neutral council hall was carved into stone, hidden within the Mistcliff Mountains. Centuries ago, it had been built by the elders of all 4 packs, back when peace was still possible. Now, that very hall echoed with growls, accusations, and thinly veiled threats. Amara stood at the center, her body draped in deep crimson. Not by choice, by tradition. The color of a claimed female. But she was not claimed. Not yet. Across from her stood the remaining 3 alphas. Elias, Roman, and Rowan. Each of them bore the scent her child sent. Each had political supporters, warriors outside, and a claim that could change the fate of the supernatural world. Let us be reasonable, Elias said, voice composed but dangerous. A child with such blood cannot be allowed to fall into a single alpha's hands. We propose a pact, a shared guardianship. The child will be raised under the protection of all 3 packs. Roman smirked. Guardianship? Say what you mean. You want to split her between us like a treaty bride. Amara raised a hand. You speak of me as if I'm not in the room. Rowan's voice cut through. I won't share her. And I won't force her. Elias turned toward him. Then you give up your claim? Rowan stared at Amara. No, he said quietly. But I give her the choice. The council grew still. Eyes turned to her. Amara stepped forward, voice steady. You want a pact? Here's mine. No one owns me. I am not a symbol, a womb, or a territory. The child will choose who he trusts when he is born. Until then, anyone who tries to chain me will face the full force of my bloodline. She looked each alpha in the eye. Are we clear? For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Elias nodded slowly. Roman clenched his jaw but held his peace. Rowan gave her a small, silent nod, pride flickering in his eyes. The full moon pact was rejected. By her. Later that night, Roman found her in the courtyard garden. You humiliated us, he said, voice rough. I spoke the truth. You don't understand what's coming. He stepped closer, his voice lowering. The Witch Queen grows stronger every night. When she moves, you'll need more than your pride. She's not my greatest threat, Amara replied calmly. You are. You pretend to protect me, but you just want the child. His hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. Don't make me force the bond, he whispered. Her power surged before she could stop it. Roots from the ground shot up, wrapping around his wrist and slamming him into the stone pillar behind her. He groaned, struggling. I won't say it again, she said, stepping close, her voice like steel. I am not your mate. I will never be. If you try to bond me again, I'll bury you. She released the roots. Roman slumped forward, breath ragged. He stared at her, not with lust or rage now, but with something colder. You'll regret this, he hissed. Amara turned her back on him. Get in line. Dawn broke blood red. They arrived with no warning. Nyx's enforcers. They bore no emblems, only shrouded faces and glowing sigils etched across their arms. Their leader, a massive man named Vereen, stepped into the field outside the stronghold and issued the challenge. To the woman carrying the moon's heir, step forward. Face the Witch Queen's blade. Amara didn't hesitate. She walked out alone, cloak billowing, her fingers already glowing with protective sigils. You're brave, Vereen said, drawing his twin obsidian daggers. But you are also foolish. No, Amara said. I'm done running. They clashed. Magic exploded through the field roots, fire, shadows. Vereen moved like death itself, striking fast, vanishing into mist, reforming with poisoned steel. But Amara's magic had grown sharper, wilder. Her bloodline responded not with restraint, but with fury. She bled, but so did he. Then came the moment. Vereen lunged, aiming for her heart. She raised her hand and whispered an ancient command. His body locked midair. The vines beneath the ground burst upward, wrapping around him in iron-thorned coils. Tell your queen, Amara said as she stepped closer, that I'm not her vessel. She drove a root through his chest. The forest fell silent. Rowan knelt in the sacred cave of the hollowed rock, a place where lies could not live. The scent test was ancient. Pure-blood wolves could mask their scent with magic, but the hollowed rock stripped away illusion. It drew truth from bone, blood, and soul. The shaman dipped her blade into a bowl filled with Amara's blood, collected during her last vision, and cut Rowan's palm. You bleed, she said. The child will answer. The cave went dark. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the walls pulsed with light. Runes glowed along the stone. Heartbeat echoed. Slow, steady, familiar. Rowan's body arched in pain. His eyes rolled back, and when he opened them, they were silver. I see him, the shaman whispered. The child sees you. The scent bound to him, real, ancient, unbroken. Rowan was the father, but the shaman frowned. There is another. A shadow behind the light. A second thread, frayed but present. NYX, Rowan whispered. The shaman nodded. You are the father. But the child was born in darkness. And that darkness left a mark. Rowan stood, shaking. Then I'll be the light that fights it. Amara stood before the sacred pool. Beside her, Ramang and Elias. They had agreed finally to undergo the blood rite. A spell that confirmed lineage through ancestral binding. The shaman pricked each alpha's finger, letting a single drop fall into the water. Then Amara stepped forward and added a drop of her own. The pool shimmered, then roared. 2 names rose in golden fire. Ramang, false. Elias, false. They recoiled, stunned. No, Elias whispered. That can't be. Impossible, Ramang muttered. I smell the child in my bones. Amara stepped back, gaze steady. You tampered with magic. You both used dark spells to mimic Rowan's scent. Elias looked ashamed. Roman just looked furious. You'll regret this, Raman said again. No, Amara said, lifting her chin. You will. She turned her back on both of them. The truth had finally begun to reveal itself. But far to the south, in the Bone Marsh. Nyx stared into her cauldron with a slow, wicked smile. The girl thinks she's won, the Witch Queen said, voice rasping. But she has no idea what's still inside her. And the baby kicked hard, like it was warning her of what was coming. Caleb hadn't slept in days. His quarters in the Crimson Fang Pack reeked of unburned sage, spilled whiskey, and something fouler magic gone wrong. He paced like a caged beast. Bloodshot eyes darting to the mirror across from him. She should have been mine, he muttered, dragging his nails down the wall. I was the first. I touched her before Rowan. I tasted her aura. But the blood right had denied him. False. The word had carved itself into his mind, burned hotter than any brand. A sharp knock broke through his spiral. What? He snapped. Talia, his beta, entered hesitantly. The scouts found Ramang. He's left the region headed toward the Shadow Pass. It seems he's gathering exiled rogues. Let him rot, Caleb growled. He failed too. Talia hesitated. And there's something else. Caleb turned sharply. Spit it out. Your scent, it's changing. The shaman says the spell you used to mimic Rowan's mark is rebounding. There are signs of corruption. He laughed, loud and broken. I don't need their magic anymore. I'll take her with my own teeth if I must. He didn't see Talia's look of unease, didn't notice the shadows thickening behind him, didn't hear the whisper of Nyx's voice in his mind. Yes, Caleb, take what you deserve. The cave entrance was hidden beneath moss and mist in the Emerald Glen, a sacred region no pack dared touch. Neutral, wild, and dangerous. Rowan hadn't wanted her to go, but Amara's visions had shown her wolves with silver eyes like hers. Wolves who bowed to no alpha but served the bloodline she carried. They were real. The moment she crossed the threshold, whispers fluttered through the trees. Then they appeared, two wolves, massive and pale, stepping from the shadows with regal calm. They shifted mid-stride, revealing two elders. A woman with silver braids and a man whose eyes held centuries. You've come, the woman said. Daughter of Myra, bearer of the child of the moon. Amara's breath caught. You knew. My mother? We served her, as we now serve you. Inside the glade, she met over a dozen wolf shifters who never aligned with the four main packs. Their loyalty was to a different lineage, one born before the age of alphas and borders. A matrilineal line tied to prophecy and power. We are the Lunaris Guard, the elder male said. We've watched you since your conception, protected you without your knowing. But the time for shadows is over. Amara sat by the fire that night, surrounded by kin she never knew existed. For the first time in weeks, her heart felt grounded. And as she slept beneath the ancient tree in the glade, the child inside her stilled for the first time in nights. That night, she dreamed, but it wasn't just a dream. Amara stood in a moonlit forest, wearing the same ceremonial dress from the blood moon ritual. The air pulsed with energy, thick and ancient. And there he was, the masked man, the same curved mask, the same intoxicating scent that now haunted her every waking breath. But this time, he spoke. You were never meant to remember, he said, voice muffled yet familiar. It was forbiddance. Who are you? She demanded. He stepped closer. His fingers brushed her cheek. Someone who was supposed to die long before this story began. The mask cracked. Through the fissure, she saw part of his face, a silver eye. Rowan had silver eyes, but this wasn't Rowan. Then who? His voice came in a whisper. Blood called to blood. I didn't choose you, you chose me, even before time began. Suddenly, fire erupted around them. A woman's scream pierced the forest. Nyx, she's watching. He shouted, Wake up, Amara. She jolted awake in the glade, gasping. The tree beside her had blackened at the roots. The elders rushed to her. Was it him? The woman asked. Amara nodded, hand pressed to her belly. Yes and no, I saw him. But he's part of something bigger. Maybe even cursed like me. The baby kicked again. And this time, the kick burned. Rowan met her at the border of the Emerald Glen, eyes wide with worry. I felt it, he said. The dream, your pain. She didn't ask how. She knew now her bond with Rowan wasn't just forged in passion. It was deeper. Older. He pulled her into his arms. And for a moment, she let herself break. I saw him, she whispered. Not clearly, but he's real, Rowan. And I think he's not what we were told. Rowan didn't flinch. He held her tighter. You don't owe me anything, he said. Not your love, not this child. Rowan, I'll protect you because I love you. Not because I want power, not because you're carrying my son, but because you are you. She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. I don't want to choose between love and truth, she said. I want both. You will, Rowan said. Even if I have to fight the world to give it to you. And in that quiet glade where her bloodline once ruled, she kissed him. Not as an alpha. Not as a protector, but as a man. They stood in a circle of salt and iron. The Lunarous elders led the chant, drawing the glyphs with silver-dipped blades. This was the reversal ceremony, one that could unravel old spells, curses, and tampered blood bonds. It had only been performed once before, and the caster had died. Amara volunteered anyway. I need to know what was done to me during the blood moon, she said. I need to break it so I can choose freely. Rowan stood beside her. The elders warned him. Once the ritual began, no one could interfere. If she screamed, if she bled, if she begged, they had to let it run its course. Amara lay in the circle. They began. The glyphs flared. Her body arched as screams poured from her mouth. Visions danced across her mind, Nyx holding her womb in shadow. Caleb whispering spells in a tongue not his own. Roman pouring black oil into his veins. Elias clutching a totem soaked in blood. Then she saw him again, the masked man. The mask fell away, and her breath left her body. She knew him. She knew that face. And the truth nearly tore her apart. The ritual ended with a crack of light and a shockwave that knocked the elders back. Amara gasped awake. Rowan rushed to her side. What did you see? Her voice trembled. I know who he is. Who? She looked into Rowan's eyes and whispered the name. The betrayal came from the last place Rowan expected. Mira, his beta for over 7 years, stood at the war table in his command tent, arms folded tightly across her chest as Rowan relayed what Amara had seen during the reversal ceremony. She remembered the masked man, he said, voice taut. She knows who he is now, and he's not from our pack. Mira didn't flinch. She just said, then what happens next? Do we surrender her to him? Rowan's eyes narrowed. We protect her, as we always have. But Myra's jaw twitched. You're putting us all at risk for a woman whose allegiance isn't even certain. He stared at her. This isn't about allegiance. It's about what's right. Mira slammed her fist down. What's right is securing our legacy, Rowan. We are the strongest pack. Crimson Crescent needs that child. If Amara won't see reason, you're not suggesting we take her against her will, Rowan said dangerously. I'm not suggesting it, Mira said coldly. I've already sent word to Alpha Elias. He'll come with reinforcements. She be safe but contained. Rowan stepped back like he'd been struck. You betrayed me. I saved the pack. No, he said quietly. You sold us out. Before she could reply, Rowan's claws tore from his hands. She barely shifted in time. Their fight shattered the tent walls. Wolves scattered. Rowan pinned her, his teeth at her throat. Leave, he snarled. Before I forget I ever loved. You was a sister. She shifted back slowly, a bruise blooming along her collarbone. "You'll regret this," she said. "When the packs fall and the child is lost, you'll regret protecting her." Rowan didn't answer. He just turned his back, miles away. In a forgotten fortress buried under obsidian stone, Ethan, the high priest of Nyx, stood before a mirror smeared with Wolf's blood and ash. "She's remembering," he hissed. And the child stirs. Behind him, the shadows writhed. Nyx's voice floated through the stone like smoke. "Then take the child. Now. Before the bond finalizes." Ethan nodded. He had prepared for this moment for years, disguised as a rogue healer, infiltrating every territory with potions and false promises. Even Amara had trusted him once, briefly, when she was still bleeding from her mother's death. But now he didn't need trickery. He needed force. "Raman has gathered the rogues," he muttered. "Caleb's mind is slipping. Elias smells weakness in Rowan. The chaos is ripe." He pulled a vial from his robe. Inside, a dark red essence sloshed lazily. Amara's blood from the day he stitched her wound and wiped her tears. "With this," he whispered, "I can locate her womb anywhere in the world." He dropped a strand of white hair, hers, into the vial. It hissed. And the mirror flared. He smiled. "Found you." Amara stood alone in the sacred pool beneath the luminous tree. The waters glowed silver under the half-moon. Her skin tingled as the cold wrapped around her body, but the child within her remained calm until Rowan stepped into the pool, fully clothed, fully aware. "What are you doing?" she asked, startled. "I had a dream," he said, walking toward her. "You were drowning, and I couldn't reach you. Not unless I stepped in willingly." His hand reached for hers. She took it. And in that moment, the bond snapped into place. Not like the false ones the other alphas tried to force. This was different, older, raw. Their blood sang in unison. Her breath caught. His heartbeat thundered. In her chest, Rowan knelt before her, hands on her belly. "I don't care who the father is," he whispered. "This child. He'll have my name if you'll let him." Tears welled in her eyes. "I wanted to choose freely," she said. "But my heart, it already chose you." The waters surged around them, silver light bursting from her body. Rowan gasped and staggered back, eyes wide. The child inside her had responded to his voice. And somewhere in the glade, the luminous elders began to chant. The elders gathered around her as the glow from the ritual pool faded. Amara lay against the tree trunk, dazed but smiling faintly. Then one of the elders stepped forward, holding a blade carved from starstone. "It's time," she said softly. "We must test the alpha." Spark. Rowan looked uncertain. "You're going to cut her?" "No," the elder said. "We'll test you. And then him." They brought forth the 3 remaining men, Elias, Caleb, and Roman, summoned by the ancient law that allowed a bloodline mother to identify the true alpha sire through the child's energy. Each approached, placed a hand gently on Amara's belly. The child stirred for none. Not Elias. Not Caleb. Not Roman. Then Rowan stepped forward, hesitant. His fingers barely grazed her stomach. A sudden pulse of light exploded outward, knocking everyone off their feet. Amara cried out, eyes wide. The baby's heartbeat had doubled, and a howling echo filled the air. The elders bowed their heads. "The spark has chosen," the lead elder said solemnly. "Rowan is the true sire." Caleb roared in denial. Elias stared in stunned silence. Ramang turned and vanished into the forest. Amara looked up at Rowan, breathless. "It was you, all along." Rowan didn't speak. He just dropped to his knees and wrapped his arms around her, overwhelmed. That night, no one slept. Word spread fast. Rowan was the father, the rightful alpha sire of the child born from the bloodline of the moon, the true heir. Amara sat before the fire, curled beneath his cloak, her hand resting protectively on her stomach. "So much makes sense now," she whispered. "Your scent. The way the baby quiets when you're near." Rowan's voice was hoarse. I never knew. That night, you were cloaked, masked, you didn't even speak. He shook his head. It was the magic. Something ancient took hold of me that night. I thought I'd dreamed it. It wasn't a dream, she said softly. Do you regret it? She turned to him, full of fire. No, I just wish we'd known sooner. Maybe we could have stopped all this. Outside the glade, Elias's forces had retreated in shame. Caleb had vanished into the Shadow Mountains. Ramang's fate remained unknown, only Ethan was unaccounted for. But even that moment of peace didn't last, because just before dawn, a messenger from the northern border arrived bloodied, barely standing. They're coming, he gasped. Who? Rowan demanded. The man coughed. Blood. Nyx's army. The blood cult. Thousands, marching toward the glade. The firelight flickered. And Amara stood, unafraid. Let them come, she said. Because I remember who I am now. The night after, Rowan was named the true sire. Tension cracked through the air like static. All three rejected Alpha's Elias, Caleb, and Roman vanished into the trees without a word. But they did not go far. In the ruined chapel, deep within neutral territory, they gathered, each one cloaked in rage and humiliation. We were all played. Elias said, pacing in front of the altar. She used us, pitted us against each other while favoring him. Romang, leaning against the cold stone wall, scoffed. Don't be naive, she didn't choose Rowan, the child did. Caleb, gaunt and twitching from sleepless nights, slammed his fist down on the altar. Then we kill the child, before it's born. End the line, end the prophecy. Elias' jaw clenched. We don't kill it, we take it, use it. Rumang looked between them. You're both fools if you think Nyx will let you control that power. She's already moving her pieces. And we're supposed to just stand by while Rowan and Amara rewrite legacy law? Elias growled. No, Rumang said darkly. We don't stand by. We strike together. Three alphas bonded by betrayal. The air pulsed as the oath formed. We move at first light, Caleb said. With blood. Far beyond the western ridge, beneath the hollow mountain, Ethan stood before his army. Thousands of twisted wolves knelt before him. They had once been rogues, banished shifters, even cursed witches. Now they wore Nyx's mark, a brand that shimmered black under moonlight. The child awakens, Ethan said, voice echoing. But the mother is growing bold. We must break her before the birth. From the shadows, Nyx herself emerged, her voice a dry rasp inside Ethan's mind. She will not give willingly. You must carve the child from her womb if needed. My vessel must be prepared. Ethan bowed his head. I understand. He turned to the crowd and lifted a vial of Amara's old blood, now laced with dark magic. When he poured it into the soil, the ground cracked and black mist bled upward. The army howled in unison. Marching orders were given. The earth trembled. Beneath clawed paws and SPELLFIRE at their front, Ethan led with his cloak billowing like wings, unstoppable. A shadow stormed at their destination, the sacred grove, their purpose. Claim the unborn heir. The attack came just before dawn. The sacred grova, hallowed land protected by luminous wolves for generations, shuddered as dark wolves breached its edges. Trees groaned. Flowers wilted as Nyx's curse tainted the soil. Rowan and Amara stood at the grove's heart, flanked by warriors. Beside them were Elder Marin, young healer Eerie, and warriors from both Redcrest and Moonfell packs, those still loyal. They're coming through the southern veil, shouted Mira, who had returned in penance, her injuries still fresh from Rowan's claws. Rowan glanced at Amara. Go. Find cover. Amara shook her head. I'm not hiding again. She stepped forward, placing a protective hand over her stomach. As the first wave of cursed wolves charged in, Rowan shifted, his black wolf erupting through his skin in one violent pull. Mira followed. The grove erupted into chaos. Wolves collided in flashes of claw and teeth. Spells shimmered through the air. Amara, encircled by protective runes, felt the child inside her pulse. Then a high shriek rang out, an unnatural scream that tore the sky. A part of the grove collapsed, flames licking through once protected trees. "Ethan's here," Rowan growled. "Human again and bloodied. He's tearing through the wards." Elder Marin was struck down by a cursed blade. Amara ran to her side, but the woman coughed once, gripping her hand. "Go," she gasped. "The moon's grave. It's the only place." "Safe enough now." "Where is it?" "In the Valley of Forgotten Gods." Then she died. The grove, once sacred, was burning around them. Rowan grabbed Amara's hand. "We move, now." The journey to the moon's grave took them through forgotten trails, underground tunnels, and into dangerous rogue territory. They were weak, outnumbered, and Ethan's army was gaining. Rowan made the call. He howled into the wind, an ancient cry only the most outcast wolves would understand. A summons of blood, and it was answered at dusk. From the cliffs above the chasm, Ares, alpha of the Shattered Bones pack, appeared, flanked by warriors with mismatched armor and battle scars. She stared down at them with black eyes and a crooked grin. "Didn't think you'd ever come crawling to me, Rowan." "I'm not crawling, I'm asking," Rowan said evenly. "We need help." Ares tilted her head toward Amara. "This her?" "The prophecy, bitch." Amara lifted her chin. "I'm Amara, and my child will tear through the old ways." Ares burst out laughing. "I like her." Then she looked past them and frowned. "You brought Mira?" Mira didn't flinch. "I owe them," Ares spat. "You owe a lot more than that." Rowan stepped forward. "You want vengeance against Elias and Caleb. Join us. Help us protect the child. You'll get your blood." Ares considered it. "And after?" "After," Amara said, "we build something better. No more cast-outs, no more broken packs." Silence. Then Ares nodded once. "Then let's kill some old gods." In the dead of night, as the group camped near Moon's grave, hidden deep in a veil where stars didn't reach, Amara was awakened by pain. Not the kind from her body. The pain came from inside. She sat up with a gasp, clutching her belly. Rowan was instantly at her side. "What is it? Are you in labor?" "No," she whispered, eyes wide. "Something's wrong. Or no, not wrong. It's him. He's talking." "What?" She placed Rowan's hand over her stomach. Suddenly, both of them were enveloped in a radiant glow. A sphere of pulsing silver formed around her. All around them, the others rose, staring. "What the hell is that?" Ares whispered. The child inside Amara wasn't just stirring, he was communicating. Visions spilled from the glow. Flashes of a broken world, a throne made of moonstone, Nyx in chains. A child with glowing eyes, surrounded by wolves of every pack. Then a single word burned into all their minds: protect. And the glow vanished. Amara gasped, panting. "He's awake," she whispered. "And he knows what's coming." Rowan kissed her forehead. "We won't let them take him." But far away, in the shadows beyond the veil, Ethan watched with cold eyes, and he whispered back, "We'll see." The winds howled over Moon's grave, the ancient veil where night never lifted. The air carried the scent of ash and blood, remnants of battles long forgotten. Rowan stood atop a cliff that overlooked the narrow valley entrance, eyes scanning the horizon. Behind him, warriors gathered, rogues from Ari's pack, remnants of the Red Crest and Moonfell packs, and a few mystics. Sworn to Amara, Ares approached, her tone dry as ever. "If you're looking for a miracle, Alpha, it's not coming." "I'm looking for an angle," Rowan replied, his jaw tense. "They'll come from the northeast." "Ethan's army is reckless, but not stupid. He'll use the cliffs and mist as cover." Ares gestured behind them. "We've got 3 witches who know how to throw a decent hex, 20 warriors who can barely hold a line, and a Luna who can't shift anymore because she's 9 months pregnant with a glowing god baby." Rowan smirked faintly. You forgot the part we're all stubborn bastards. From below, Mira coordinated with the others, issuing commands and drawing protective sigils across the ground. Amara, resting under the withered roots of a moon-dead tree, felt the weight of 1,000 lives pressing against her spine. The baby stirred more often now, flooding her mind with fragmented prophecies and emotions not her own. He sees more than we do, she murmured to Eerie, who sat at her side. He doesn't fear death. He expects it. Eerie hesitated. Then, what does he want? Amara looked toward Rowan's back. Legacy. He wants the world after. In the distance, horns sounded low and thunderous. They had until nightfall. Beneath the veil, in the catacombs of the forgotten gods, Marcus knelt before an altar of shattered bones. The necromancer's robes clung to him like smoke. His eyes burned black as he whispered in a tongue no living soul dared utter. This is forbiddance, Elder Lysandra warned from the threshold, her voice sharp. Even among the word, this is beyond redemption. Marcus didn't flinch. We are beyond redemption. He drew a blade across his palm and let blood drip onto the skull below. I seek the spirits of the old world. He called, louder now. The ones who watched the rise of Nyx. I offer my soul as conduit. The bones rattled. Shadows coiled. Around him then silenced until they answered. A ghostly figure rose, half skeletal and crowned in thorned flame. Who dares bind the pact? Marcus of Holofen. Last blood of the Dead Moon Circle. The spirit leaned forward. You would trade your life for borrowed power? Marcus nodded once. If it buys her another chance. The spirit smiled and screamed. Dark tendrils lashed out, seeping into Marcus' skin. His body arched. His veins turned black. His eyes rolled white as visions of time bled through him. When it was done, Marcus collapsed, panting, steaming with raw magic. Lysandra approached warily. What did you see? They're coming with fire, he whispered. But we have bone. The dead will rise with us, but we must hold the valley. That's where the blood moon will rise again. He stood slowly, barely human now. Tell Amara, I have made my choice. As the sun bled behind the mountains, Caleb stood alone on the edge of the battlefield, torn between allegiance and self-loathing. He watched the dark army amass wolves. With smoking eyes, witches cloaked in bone, beasts that no longer remembered their names. He had once dreamed of leading the world. Now he could barely lead his own soul. Footsteps behind him. Amara. She walked slowly, her belly full with legacy. Her steps certain. You shouldn't be here. He didn't turn. I came to speak. Not fight. Silence. Then he said, it should have been me. I loved you. No, Caleb, Amara said, softly but firmly. You loved the idea of possessing me. You never listened. You never saw me. He finally turned. I was desperate. And I was dying, she said, voice shaking. But I kept going, for him. And now I'll burn this entire world before I let Nyx touch him. Caleb stepped forward, hand out. Let me help. Let me make this right. No, she said. You had your chance. This is your final one. Tears threatened his eyes, but he blinked them away. I'll stand with you, he said, one last time. She nodded once, but as she turned to leave, Caleb whispered, even if it kills me. And she whispered back, it will. Ethan stood before the altar Nyx had crafted, her voice inside his bones. The time has come. Open the veil. He stabbed his blade into the earth. Black magic rippled outward, unraveling the seals on the veil. Lightning cracked through the sky. But something went wrong. As Nyx began to push through the rift, the child's presence surged from within Amara like a tidal wave. The air snapped. And the curse rebounded. Ethan screamed as Nyx's power turned on him. You dare resist me? Her voice shrieked through his mind. The symbols on his arms burned away. He dropped to his knees, blood pouring from his eyes. The wolves behind him faltered, and inside the rift, something else woke up. An ancient force, older than Nyx. A silver flame burst from the earth, incinerating the cursed trees around them. The cursed wolves fled, the witches scattered, and Ethan fell, charred, broken, and blind. He clawed at the soil as Nyx screamed inside him, her grip severed. "No," he gasped. "No, no." But it was too late. The darkness he had commanded now swallowed him. Midnight struck, and the sky split. Above Moon's grave, the blood moon rose once more, brighter and redder than ever before. The entire battlefield froze. Rowan stood beside Amara, their hands clasped. Behind them, warriors prepared for their final stand. The ground trembled. The veil shimmered open. But instead of Nyx, it was the child who emerged, still within Amara's womb, but fully conscious. Projecting a presence so strong it bent trees, he spoke into every mind at once. "This ends tonight." Across the battlefield, wolves shifted into forms touched by silver fire. Rowan's own wolf grew taller, darker, laced with celestial markings. Ares. Rogue warriors fought with brutal precision. Mira and Marcus flanked the veil's mouth, casting wave after wave of flame and bone. Caleb held the eastern flank, redeeming himself with every drop of blood. And Amara? She walked to the battlefield's heart, unarmed. The glow from her belly pulsed like a beacon. The armies of Nyx hesitated, and then the child roared, not with voice, but with divine command. Every shadow shattered. The battlefield became light. And the war began. Rain fell in sheets, red as rust, as Amara stepped into the center of Moon's grave. The blood moon loomed above, casting shadows that twisted unnaturally. But Amara did not falter. Her body burned with pressure, the child's magic swelling, rippling outward in waves that cracked the earth beneath her feet. Rowan appeared beside her in his wolf form, massive and silver-veined, blood already staining his fur from the initial onslaught. He shifted back to human just long enough to touch her hand. "Don't do anything alone," he said, voice low. "Not this time." "I'm not," she whispered from the ridges. Ares let out a war cry that echoed for miles, and the rogue warriors followed her into the fray. Marcus emerged from the mist with an army of reanimated warriors, bones clacking, eyes burning with eerie blue flame. The battlefield exploded into chaos. Amara raised her hand and, for the first time, she allowed her child's raw energy to surge. Through her, the sky cracked. Lightning, white and crimson, lanced down and struck the corrupted beasts charging their line. Wolves screamed. Magic pulsed like thunder. Across the battlefield, Nyx, no longer veiled behind Ethan, began to manifest. A swirling figure of smoke and bone, her face a cracked mirror of Amara's own. "You defy your own blood," Nyx hissed. "Your child is mine." Amara stood her ground. "Then take him." She raised both hands and the storm obeyed. Winds howled with unnatural force. Trees tore from the ground. Magic rained like daggers. Amara's eyes glowed gold, her body hovering inches off the ground. For one impossible moment, time bent around her. And in that instant, the tide turned. Mira charged through the battlefield, her cloak ablaze, one arm slick with blood. She shoved through fire and bone, heading for the Coven Circle, where Witch Queen Malira chanted in tongues that churned the air. The queen stood surrounded by her blood witches, their eyes white, skin etched with runes pulsing crimson. "Mira!" shouted Marcus, racing beside her. "We can't just charge. We don't have time." She barked. The queen turned slowly, face stretching into a cruel smile. "Ah, the traitor child. Come to bleed for your people? I came to kill." "You," Myra growled. Malira lifted her arms, and the earth cracked open. Vines tipped with bone wrapped around Mira's ankles, dragging her down. Marcus raised his staff, chanting. Ghosts exploded from the ground, swarming the witches. Disrupting their concentration, Mira roared, calling forth her last spell, one she'd never dared use. A ring of fire circled her body. With a scream, she surged upward, fire spinning from her hands like scythes. She reached Malira in 3 heartbeats and buried a blade made of molten obsidian into the queen's chest. Malira gasped, but smiled. "You're too late. She's already here." "I know," Mira said. "But you won't be." She twisted the blade. The queen's scream shattered the air as her body imploded into ash. The blood witches fell one by one, their tether gone. Air stilled Dot, and Mira collapsed, unconscious in Marcus' arms. The battlefield was soaked with blood, some of it cursed, glowing black. Eating through soil and bone. Ares fell to one knee, panting, her blade slick with gore. A feral wolf lunged from the side, but Caleb intercepted it mid-air, impaling the creature and taking the brunt of its poison-slick fangs into his own shoulder. He stumbled, coughing. "Still alive," he muttered. Ares stared at him. "Why? The hell would you do that?" He gave a weak grin. "Redemption. Or stupidity. Haven't figured out which." Further back, Rowan had taken the eastern flank with 24 warriors, but the cursed wolves kept coming. They were losing ground. Suddenly, a horn sounded. The remnants of the Red Crest pack emerged from the mist warriors Amara thought long dead, led by Kaelin, the exiled beta she once banished. "For the Luna!" He bellowed. The charge split the enemy's flank wide open, but it wasn't enough. A death wail cut through the din. Eerie fell speared through by a cursed blade while shielding a wounded pup. She smiled once at Amara, mouthing words through blood before falling still. Marcus, holding the line near the southern edge, was struck by a spell that seared through his back. He collapsed, screaming, but did not die. His army of bones shielded him, dragging his broken body to safety. Amara clutched her stomach, pain shooting up her spine. The baby was coming. She turned to Rowan, her voice breaking. "It has to end now." He nodded grimly. "Then we do what we came for." Together, they walked toward the Vale's center. Nyx's full form descended taller than any wolf, shaped of shadow and hatred. Her voice distorted the air. "You were my blood, Amara. I created your line. You should have ruled beside me." "You created pain," Amara said, stepping into the glowing circle Rowan and Mira had drawn from ancient glyphs. "Not destiny." Rowan stood beside her, bloody but standing tall. "This ends here." Nyx struck first, a wave of dark magic that obliterated everything in a 10-yard radius. Rowan took the hit full force, shielding Amara with his body. He screamed but didn't fall. She turned, fury igniting. "Touch him again, and I swear," but Nyx lunged. Rowan moved faster than he ever had, shifting mid-air into his Wolf and tearing into her shadowed form. It was like fighting smoke and fire, but he landed a blow that made her stagger. Nyx screamed, "You fight like ants." She raised her claws and struck Rowan through the chest. Time slowed. Amara screamed. Rowan fell. Amara dropped to her knees beside him. "Rowan, no, please." He coughed, blood bubbling. "You know, I'd do it again." "Don't," she whispered. "You don't get to leave me too." His hand found hers and went still. Nyx laughed. "What will you do now, little vessel?" Amara stood slowly. The air shifted, and behind her the child still unborn spoke into the world. "Breaker." A column of golden light erupted from the ground. Nyx staggered, screeching, her form beginning to unravel. "No, not now." Amara hovered above the earth, her eyes gone white. Magic surged through her. Her hands glowed. The baby's heartbeat echoed like war drums. Around them, the cursed wolves froze. The skies turned. A dome of energy enveloped the battlefield. Within it, time itself began to reverse. "Blood to blood," Amara intoned. "Life to life, you cursed my line. But now I reclaim it." Nyx lunged again. Amara placed one hand to her belly. A pulse of pure light shot outward. Nyx's scream tore through every soul in the veil, and then she exploded into ash and wind. The curse shattered. Every cursed Wolf collapsed, no longer bound, either dead or freed. The dead stopped rising. The rain turned clear. Rowan gasped and breathed. Amara fell to her knees, screaming not in pain, but release as the child began to be born beneath the moonlight. The moment the baby took his first breath, the clouds parted. And the sun rose over Moon's grave for the first time in centuries. The battlefield had gone silent, except for the newborn's cry. Amara clutched her son to her chest, his skin glowing faintly where the curse once marked her womb. Around her, the energy of the veil pulsed, wild but calm for the first time in generations. She knelt in blood, ash, and light, and yet the only thing she saw was his face. Movement. Elias, Dorian, and Urek, the three alphas who once claimed her, stood at the edge of the ruined altar. Each bore the mark of Nyx no longer. The black threads that once bound their veins were gone, replaced with cracks, as if their power had turned to brittle stone. She did it, Elias whispered, staring at the infant. No, Dorian said hollowly. The child did. Yarek's jaw tightened. Then what are we? Layers, Amara answered coldly, rising to her feet. The wind stirred. Around them, the surviving packs had gathered. Rogues, exiles, warriors from fallen lineages. All stared in silence. I gave each of you a chance, Amara said, her voice steady. To do right by him, by me. You tried to own us instead. She walked forward, her child in her arms, no longer the girl they'd once manipulated. You three aren't worthy of Alpha. And by blood, by right, by legacy, that ends now. Magic surged. The mark of Alpha was stripped from them. The threads of lineage that made them leaders, Nyx's stolen power, crumbled into ash at their feet. Yarek fell to his knees. Dorian stood frozen, silent. Elias took a step back, then another, and vanished into the crowd, no longer anything more than a wolf. They were no longer leaders. Just men. And the child's quiet coo sounded like judgment. It took 2 days for the wounded to be counted. 2 more for the fires to die down. And one final moonrise before the surviving wolves came to Amara, not as soldiers, not as followers, but as supplicants. They stood at the circle of roots in the center of the veil, where Amara had made her stand, and waited for her answer. Mira sat beside her, healing slowly. Marcus, still unable to walk without aid, remained silent but alert. Ares leaned against the outer bark of a blood tree, watching warily. Caleb stood beside her, alive but distant, haunted by Irie's death. The air was heavy with what came next. We need a council, Amara said. Not one alpha, not one bloodline holding power again. And yet, Mira said gently, you are still the rightful heir. She's more than that, Marcus added hoarsely. She's the bond that binds what remains. One by one, the surviving leaders approached. Kalen of Red Crest, the elder of the fallen Duskfang pack, 2 rogue leaders. Even old Luna Kalani, scarred and half-blind, stood before Amara and dropped to one knee. What do you want us to call you? Kalani asked. Amara looked around. Not Luna, not heir. I don't want a crown. You have one, Ares muttered, whether you wear it or not. Rowan stood behind Amara, his hand brushing her back gently. Then call her what she is. And the word that passed among them was simple. Queen, not of a kingdom, but of wolves. The coronation was unlike any tradition the packs had ever seen. There were no robes, no golden circlet, no ancient scrolls read aloud. Amara stood barefoot in the center of the veil, her child in her arms, surrounded by every wolf who had bled beside her. Rowan stood at her side, not as her mate or protector, but as her equal. The one who had chosen her again and again, even when she did not believe she deserved it. Mira wrapped a new braid into Amara's hair woven with strands of ash and fire-blessed string. Marcus lit the ceremonial fire with ghostlight drawn from the bones of their ancestors. Ares held the bloodstone, the artifact that had once bound. Rogues shattered it with her bare hands, offering the shards as a pledge of unity. And the child unnamed still rested against Amara's chest with a calm that belied his age. Kalani stepped forward. "Do you swear, Amara of the Eldwin line, child of two worlds, queen of the broken veil, that you will not rule through fear, but through truth?" "I do." "Will you protect the bloodlines, old and new, not for power, but for peace?" "I will." "Then rise and be known." Amara rose. The wolves howled as one, and for the first time in centuries, every pack bowed together, not because they were commanded, but because they believed. The child's cry echoed through the veil at dusk, softer now than at birth, but still laced with power. He had not yet been named. Amara held him in the quiet of the rebuilt sanctuary, his little fingers wrapped around hers. Rowan sat close, watching them both with a reverence he had never shown anyone else. "What will we call him?" Rowan asked. Amara stared down at the child, whose eyes were neither gold nor silver, but something else deep. "Eternal. He's more than us," she said. "He carries every line, every loss." "He's not a weapon," Rowan reminded gently. "No, but he's still the end, and the beginning." Outside, Mira and Marcus debated over training schedules for young wolves. Ares was teaching rogue children how to hold blades without fear. Caleb sat alone near Erie's resting place, his pain not gone but shared. The child shifted in Amara's arms. "Riven," she whispered. "His name is Riven." Rowan blinked. "That's—" "It means to break and to mend." She looked up. "That's what he did." The moment she said it, a pulse moved through the veil. The trees shimmered. The bones of the land whispered approval. Riven let out another cry, and the sun seemed to rise again. It was Myra who first noticed the change in the land. The cursed fog that had clung to the far reaches of the territory was gone. The lakes were no longer tinged with blood. The bones of the ancient alphas had begun to sink into the earth, accepted at last by the land they had once ruled. Amara walked, with Riven, into the field where the final battle had taken place. Rowan followed behind her, not speaking, just present. She knelt and placed Riven's tiny hand against the dirt dot, and the ground bloomed. Flowers sprouted instantly. The grass grew green beneath his fingers. The magic of the true Alpha line had returned, not stolen, not twisted, but reborn. In a circle near the old roots, a gathering of young wolves knelt. Some were orphaned, others had never known a pack. Amara raised her eyes to them. "This is yours now," she said. "You don't need to inherit power. You are the legacy." Kalen, now the High Warden of the Outer Packs, nodded. "We'll protect it." Amara looked to Mira, who now carried Marcus Sigil. To Ares, who had chosen peace over vengeance. To Caleb, who had not yet forgiven himself, but who had not left. Then she looked to Riven and smiled. "Let the prophecy end here," she whispered, "and let the future write itself clean." For the first time in memory, there was no looming curse. No false father. No blood price. Just a child with the world before him. And a queen who would never bow again. The moon hung low over the veil, no longer blood red, no longer cursed. Amara stood at the balcony of the High Root Hall, the once ruined heart of the territory, now rebuilt by rogues, pack wolves, and exiles alike. Its branches stretched skyward, woven with vines and spirit wood, carved with the names of every wolf who died to birth this peace. She wore no crown. She never would. Below, wolves gathered from every corner of the former territories, Red Crest, Duskfang, even the rogue clans once outlaws, now seated together in a circle of unity. Children ran freely between them. Laughter echoed where once there had only been war drums. Rowan stood beside her, arms crossed loosely, his chin resting against her temple. "They're yours now," he murmured. "No," Amara corrected. "They're themselves now. That's all I ever wanted, he smiled. And yet they still call you queen. She glanced at him sideways. And you? I call you mine. They stood in silence for a moment, watching Mira lead the new guard across the field, her command steady and proud. Marcus walked with her, his legs still stiff but strong enough now to hold a sword again. Ares trained a group of younger rogues. By the edge of the stream, her laughter louder than the clash of wood against steel. She'd refused every offer of rank, of title. All she asked for was a place to belong. Even Caleb had taken a place in the archives, working with the healers and elders to record history honestly this time. He no longer sought penance, only purpose. The kingdom Amara ruled had no borders. No throne, only wolves, living free. They named him under a sky of stars, that not beneath a roof. Not surrounded by ceremony, but in the grove where Amara's mother once planted a single blood-bloom tree. It had grown tall now, its petals a soft crimson, fragrant with memory. Rowan held the child in his arms, steady despite the nerves. Amara placed one hand over the tiny chest that beat with the rhythm of the veil itself. You sure? Rowan whispered. I was born with a name chosen by prophecy, Amara said. Let him be born of choice. The circle of wolves had gathered, silent and watching. Mira stepped forward, bearing a carved stone etched with runes of blessing. Ares handed Amara a dagger, ceremonial now, not bloody. Marcus poured spring water into the soil at their feet. Amara lifted the child, letting the firelight catch his face. He carries every legacy, she said clearly. Not mine alone. Not Rowan's. Not the cursed alphas who tried to steal him. He is not a weapon, Rowan said. He is not a symbol. He is a boy. But he is ours. We name him Riven, Amara finished. There was a beat of silence, then a cheer, howls rising like wind through the trees. Magic shimmered across the grove, not wild, but gentle, affirming. Riven cooed softly, reaching for the light, and in that moment, Amara knew he would never be owned. The peace talks were tense, but they were talks, not battles. For the first time in decades, the remaining alphas who hadn't been consumed by war came together. Not to divide land or claim power, but to listen. Amara sat at the stone table in the heart of the High Root Hall, Riven in Rowan's lap behind her. Mira stood at her right hand, with Ares and Marcus forming a protective semicircle. Kalen of Red Crest spoke first. We propose rotating guardianship of the outer territories. No single pack holds them. Shared watch. An elder from the Frostfang Ridge nodded. So long as the rogues are included in that rotation. They built this place as much as anyone, Ares snapped. You want peace? Share it. Amara raised a hand. Let her finish. The old woman smiled wryly. She speaks the truth. We agree. Another younger leader leaned forward. What of the old punishments? Exile, branding, severing. No more, Mira said firmly. We build through justice now, not fear. And what of the old bloodline laws? Someone muttered. They were designed to protect balance. Those laws bred tyranny, Marcus answered. They end here. There was silence, then nods. Slow, reluctant in some corners. But it was a start. Peace didn't come in a roar. It came in murmurs, in signatures, in offerings exchanged by hand instead of taken by claw. And when it was done, Rowan whispered, You did it. Amara shook her head. We did it. The dreams began. Day Riven turned 6 moons old. Amara saw glimpses sometimes in her sleep, sometimes while watching him play in the grass. The veil showed her things, just as it once did her ancestors. She saw Riven standing in the middle of a battlefield, not one of blood, but of storms and shadows. She saw wolves with wings, wolves who walked like men, cities with silver towers, fires that didn't burn, and ice that bled. And Riven older, stronger, his eyes glowing with that same celestial silver-gold mix that neither she nor Rowan had ever seen in their line. She told no one at first. Not even Rowan, but one night, curled beside the river, he turned to her. You've seen it too. Her throat tightened. What if we built peace for now, only to leave him with something worse? Rowan stroked her hair back. Then we train him for that future, but we do not raise him to fear it. I don't want him to be a weapon. He won't be. He'll be riven. He'll choose. She pressed her forehead to his. Do you think we've earned peace? Rowan smiled. We fought for peace. Earning it? That's for Riven's generation to decide. And when Riven laughed in his sleep, the stars overhead pulsed just a little brighter. The old scrolls had called it a curse, that the last of the Ildwin line would bring death. Madness, war. And in a way, they had been right. Amara had brought death to tyrants. Madness to those who tried to control her. And war to the broken system that had destroyed her parents. But she had also brought life. Riven toddled now between fireflies, his giggles echoing in the twilight. Wolves of all bloodlines watched him like a miracle, not out of fear, but hope. Rowan built a home of stone and timber at the heart of the Vale. Ares lived nearby, training the next generation of warriors, those who fought to protect, not conquer. Mira took a mate in time, a healer from the south, and filled the forests with laughter. Marcus taught the future council. Caleb led the scribes. Kalen oversaw the new defense pacts, and Amara Queen without a crown walked the land with her. Sun, showing him every corner of the world they'd rebuilt. One night, as a crimson moon rose overhead, not cursed, but beautiful, she stood with Riven at the altar ruins, now overgrown with wildflowers. He looked up at her. Mama? Yes, my heart. What's a bloodline? She knelt, brushing his curls back. A trail, a story, but not a cage. Are we special? She smiled. We are us, that's enough. He nodded solemnly. And then ran off to chase fireflies. Amara stood alone for a moment, staring into the sky. Where once a curse had loomed. It was gone now, not rewritten, not erased, but completed. And the legacy that remained wasn't war. It was love. It was choice. It was freedom.